Gaddafi.
Hello, it is 5 a.m. in Washington. It's 11 a.m. in Benghazi. I'm Monita Rajpal.
And I'm Zain Verjee. You're watching World One live from London. Also ahead, harsh words from the United Nations. A leaked report condemns Sri Lanka, citing evidence of war crimes in its battle with Tamil rebels.
We begin this hour in Libya, where NATO is ramping up its military campaign. Our reporter there heard jets over Tripoli on Thursday night and 3 large explosions. And now, for the first time, armed U.S. drones are being used. The unmanned aircraft fly lower than manned jets, making it easier to spot targets. NATO is sending out this morning to the city of Benghazi is where the uprising in Libya began. U.S. Republican Senator John McCain is on an unannounced visit there for talks with the opposition. He's been a firm supporter of U.S. military action to overthrow Colonel Gaddafi. We want to get more now from our correspondent in Tripoli, Fred Pleitgen. Fred.
Good morning, Monita. Yeah, and that's why he received a hero's welcome when he touched down there in Benghazi earlier.
Fred, when we now know that NATO is ramping up its military offensive there over the skies of Libya and specifically using these unmanned drones, but the big concern is civilian casualties that could get caught in the crossfire. Is NATO saying how they are going to be trying to at least avoid civilian casualties? Fred Pleitgen there in Tripoli, thank you very much for that. And we do apologize for the sound quality there.
Normal life has become almost impossible for people in the city of Misrata. Battles have been raging for weeks.
Syria is braced for more protests, despite the president lifting a state of emergency that had been in force for 48 years. Bashar al-Assad has also abolished the unpopular Higher State Security Court. But as Arwa Damon reports, opposition leaders say he hasn't gone far enough.
Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has lifted the state of emergency that basically served to trump all constitutional freedoms and allow authorities cover to carry out.
Just 1 week to go, and people all over the world will be celebrating Prince William's love for Kate Middleton. It's a love that blossomed at one of the oldest universities in the world. St Andrews in Scotland has unintentionally gained a reputation as Britain's top matchmaking school. In CNN's upcoming documentary, The Woman Who Would Be Queen, Soledad O'Brien takes us inside the relationship between the prince and the commoner.
Is an egg that is fraught with peril. They're actually calling it an egg with a non-nutritive object embedded in it, which is why they've decided to ban them. I've always loved getting the toys out of these Kinder Surprises, and you just build them and it just makes it fun. But they're banning it, but that's just made Americans want those eggs even more. So they're now on all these websites, Monita, and all these online forums dedicated to getting me a Kinder Surprise.
Well, they're calling it, what is this, a non-nutritive object embedded. Half the things that you find in supermarket shelves are non-nutritive objects or things that you shouldn't really be eating, but you do anyway because it's fun.
I hear you. I hear you. I'm all for those Kinder Surprises.
Thanks a lot, Zain, for that. Let's take a look at weather conditions now. Severe flooding continues to impact Colombia, while in the Philippines the weather is causing dangerous landslides. Let's go to our meteorologist, Jennifer Delgado, at the World Weather Center. Jen.
Hi, Monita. The landslides have been happening in the southern part of the Philippines, and it happened earlier today, but the problem is that don't get in the water. It's too cold right now.
I'm going to be
Just
reading up
yourself.
on royal facts.
Oh, yeah, you
reading about royal facts and studying up. So we're ready for our week-long coverage live from Westminster Abbey and Buckingham Palace next week.
Oh, another week of it.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Jen, thank you very much. You are watching World One live from London. Old guns, little ammunition, and even less training.
This individual is holding an SA-7 shoulder-fired surface-to-air missile, but he's pointing it the wrong way. He's pointing it at the
Sri Lankan government is rejecting UN accusations that it shelled civilians during the final stages of its long war with Tamil separatist rebels. Parts of a damning UN report have been leaked to the Sri Lankan media. For those details, here's CNN's Richard Roth. Well, we want to give you some background now on the civil war in Sri Lanka, dating all the way back to 1972. That's when the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam formed and fought to carve out a separate Tamil homeland. Then in 1983, fighting between the rebel group and Sri Lanka's government escalated into an all-out war. The bloodshed continued until a ceasefire was negotiated then in 2002. But there were additional attacks and violence escalated again in 2006. The Sri Lankan government officially pulled out of the ceasefire in February 2009, stepping up its campaign against the rebels. And then in May of 2009, the Sri Lankan military advanced deep into Tamil rebel territory and finally defeated the Tigers. Games and 3 big wins. Are the Miami Heat finally living up to their reputation in the NBA? Don Riddell, what do you think?
It's starting to look like that, Monita. Thanks very much. There are signs that Miami could still live up to all the hype. There you go. That's the sport.
Never really called golf spicy, but there you go.
It is at the moment.
All right.
Take it from me.
Don Riddell, thank you very much.
They're arguably the world's best-kept secrets. Who designed Kate Middleton's wedding dress, and what does it look like? Well, the answers are still a mystery, but that has not stopped the guessing game. It is so much fun. Karine Kafer takes a look at how the dress is influencing brides before it's even unveiled.
And, of course, no proper English wedding is complete without guests and fashionably over-the-top hats. CNN reporters are getting into the royal wedding spirit by designing and sharing their creations. Let's take a look at a few of them. Now, this one is from Shri Tukarala in Sri Lanka, and she says she remembered how village women weave mats and hats, especially for their New Year celebrations. Coming up, did it the wrong way around. Now, here we go. Catherine Villar from Montevideo, Uruguay, shows off her tulle hat. She says she loved watching Princess Diana in a similar tulle hat and looks forward to William and Kate's wedding day. That's gorgeous there. And we've got Leah here, Leah Ocampo in Manila in the Philippines, and her hat, she says it has to be clipped in place to stay on her head. Now, there are some that are, I think they're called fascinators. Zain.
That's right, and Kate's really into that kind of a style, right? You're watching World One live from London, an environmentally friendly anniversary. We're going to tell you who's celebrating and why it is part of our top trending stories. Look at our Earth.